feature some of the most compelling startups in the entire world. We're very lucky to have the opportunity to be partnered with NCC-PDI, the National Capital Consortium for Pediatric Medical Innovation, to have the opportunity to advance pediatric technologies. I'm a innovator myself. I was a CEO of 3 companies in the medical space before I joined a venture capital firm for 12 years, where I learned the other side and what it takes to actually work with lots of companies who are bringing their products to market. I started MedTech Innovator after about halfway into that, so roughly 8 years ago. And the idea was to find amazing startups and make sure they actually succeed in bringing their technologies to market. We spun that out of the venture firm I was working at, which is called RCT, or Research Corporation Technologies. And we created MedTech Innovator as a standalone company. So in that time now, we've had the opportunity to see innovation from over 5,000 companies in that time period. It's pretty incredible to see all this innovation and to see what people are doing, but it is a struggle, and we're all here to work together to advance pediatric innovation. And in particular, today's event is to talk about pediatric technology related to COVID-19. And as all of us know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's no escaping that. Most of us are probably at home right now. Maybe all of us are at home, except for me, I'm not sure, but it's changed all of our lives. But medical device technology really has saved the day, I think many would say. And what we've been lucky about as an industry is that we've been able to respond incredibly quickly to the challenges posed by COVID-19 and immediately have the ability to not only provide things like PPEs and technology for keeping people alive. The ventilator response has been just overwhelmingly incredible, but also many other technologies that are supportive, that make a huge difference in the way patients are cared for in the hospital, they're cared for at home, for diagnosing, for treating, and so on. It really is an incredible industry, and we're really lucky to be part of it. And we found along the way that there were a number of companies that either were innovating brand new technologies to treat COVID or to be responding to COVID, or they pivoted their technologies to be able to address COVID-19. We've seen probably about 90 companies doing that directly that we're involved with in one way or another. So it's really incredible to see that response. We did a COVID-19 focused pitch event, and then we partnered with NCC-PDI to do this pediatric COVID-19 event. So I'm really excited about that. Let me just tell you a little bit about that and about MedTech Innovator very quickly. So MedTech Innovator, for a little bit of background, excuse me, is a accelerator for medical technology. We're focused on improving the lives of patients by accelerating these innovative companies that are transforming care. We have 258 companies that are alumni of our program. 54 products are now on the market, which is really incredible. And these companies have raised over $1.7 billion in follow-on funding. The picture you see on the screen here includes a number of technologies that have been brought to market by MedTech Innovator alumni. And importantly, some of these are pediatric innovations. Also, just for a little bit of context, when I talk about the impact that we're having and kind of the lens that we see, MedTech Innovator is the largest accelerator in the world for medical devices. This is some fresh data from Silicon Valley Bank from last week, highlighting the number of companies that the different accelerators and incubators have focused on medical devices. We're the largest in the world. So when we see things and we talk about things, it's with a pretty unique lens, because we're seeing things that just very few other people have a chance to see. So it's a little bit of background on MedTech Innovator and why we're doing this today. I want to welcome Bill Bentley from the University of Maryland to give us a little bit of some additional background about what they're doing there and also today's event. So Bill.
Thanks, Paul. So this is Bill Bentley. I'm at the University of Maryland, and I'm one of the co-PIs of the NCC-PDI, and I'm a director of the Robert E. Fischel Institute for Biomedical Devices, and just want to welcome everybody. One of the things that, if you have an opportunity at some point to take a look at a website called clark.covid.umd.edu, you'll see in a few of the examples by which our institute has paid attention to and tried to contribute to the problem with COVID. And I'm joined today by several of us at the Institute. Lex Schulteis and Martha Wang are here as well. And Alyssa Tomlinson and Emily Rosenthal are participating as judges and communication specialists. Just to note a couple of the innovations that we've worked on locally, an intubation device for protecting clinicians while intubating patients, a rapid deployment mask. We've contributed some phone booth-like structures for sampling patients where the clinician is inside an air-conditioned phone booth. That'll soon be released to the city of Baltimore. And one of the things that I think is probably most germane and important is some work that we've done locally with our collaborators at Children's, at Washington Hospital Center, Walter Reed, and University of Maryland, Baltimore. And that's an alternative to an N95 respirator that's clear, that's reusable. And importantly, one of the things that we did is, and as you go forward and you need some engineering expertise and some help, we created this unit, and actually with all of the clinical specialists and environments around the DC, Baltimore area, we've transitioned that. You can actually buy those. So in a period of about 2 months, we went from ideas to actual product. So one of the things that I think is very important about MedTech Innovator and NCC-PDI is the ability to take innovative ideas and to translate those into commercial products. So with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Paul or Kalela or Tony from Children's, and welcome everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. Great to be working with you. Yes, so let's go ahead and bring up Kalale Eskandanian to talk to us about also about pediatric innovation, COVID-19, NCC-PDI, and more. So Kalale.
Great. Thank you, everyone. So great to see so many familiar faces. I'm Kalale Eskandanian. I'm the Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. Together with Bill Bentley and Dr. Tony Sandler, who is also one of the judges. Today, we are the principals of the National Capital Consortium for Pediatric Device Innovation. So today we will be selecting 5 or 6 teams that will emerge as having a promising solution to address some of the challenges associated to COVID-19 pandemic. But we hope that these solutions will also introduce longer term resiliency. So if we ever find ourselves in this situation again, we have a solid platform to build upon. Also, one of today's presenters will be selected by Johnson & Johnson Innovation J Labs to receive residency status at the new J Labs at Washington, D.C. that is scheduled to open in January 2021. This competition is made possible by an FDA grant from the Office of Orphan Products, which leads the Pediatric Device Consortia Grants Program, whose goal is to facilitate the development, production, and distribution of pediatric medical devices through funding of nonprofit consortia. And we are one of the 5 in the country with this designation, NCC-PDI is. In turn, our goal is to provide direct funding and expert advising and support services to innovators of pediatric medical devices. Now, more importantly, and very unique to our practice and mechanism, today's competition is matched by a generous philanthropist in Washington, D.C. area, Mei Zhu, who is the CEO and founder of an e-commerce platform, Yes, She May. Mei is the creator of a number of successful global businesses, and she has a special interest in manufacturing. And she also has roots in University of Maryland. So I'm so glad that Bill Bentley and all colleagues from University of Maryland are here. We are really appreciative of your support, May, and this is, the first time that we're getting a philanthropic gift to match the pediatric device innovation competition. I'm an optimist about the power of philanthropy to reduce inequity. The one that we have today is really the gap that exists between innovation in adult healthcare and pediatric healthcare. And so a very warm thank you to May for your support, and I'd like to invite you to address our innovators. May, you're on mute.
Thank you, everyone, for inviting me. And I have to say, first of all, I'm a mother of 4, and all of them have been treated very well by the doctors at Children's. And it has been great to see the innovative ideas that blossomed from prenatal surgeries to others. So we're not only a manufacturer, we're also really in the community cheering children's on. At the same time, more than ever, design leadership is incredibly important as we face this challenge internationally. So I'm very impressed to see the amount of ideas that we were able to see in a short period of time, and I can't wait. Congratulations for such a good participation.
Thank you so much, May. Paul, back to you.
Thank you very much, Kalale and May and Bill. Let me just tell you a little bit about how today's event's going to work. As you heard, there were many, many companies that applied, and then we down selected to the ones you're going to hear present today. The companies that we selected were all ones that we believe can truly have an impact on COVID-19 in the pediatric population. And so our goal is to not only provide awards for these companies, but to provide them some feedback, to provide them some guidance. We want to make sure these companies succeed in bringing these technologies to patients. So part of that is to provide them with some financial incentives to do so. And so the awards that we can provide today are going to be really meaningful in making an improvement in these technologies and accelerating their ability to get to patients. But it's also to provide them with feedback from experts. So in this event, you're not just going to see companies pitch one after the other, and then we make a decision. All the companies are going to go into private breakout rooms with small groups of judges, and they're going to rotate around from room to room over a series of sessions where they'll be pitching to different groups of experts. And I put the names of the companies up on the screen here so you can see everyone who's going to be presenting today. What I will show you later on during one of the breaks is a list of all the people who are serving as judges and expert in terms of providing feedback for the companies. So they're going to be asking you questions that are designed to learn more about your company during the breakouts, but they're also going to be giving you feedback. So this is an opportunity, presenters, for you during those sessions to ask them questions as well. So it's not just for us to interrogate you or to evaluate you. You have the opportunity to jump in and ask some questions as well, because this is a great opportunity to talk to experts from all across the industry. We're incredibly lucky. Kalale and the team at NCC-PDI have put together a judging and expert roster that is just unparalleled. I think we have over 75 judges participating today. So it's pretty an amazing opportunity to interact with these people in the industry. Again, these are the companies that are going to be presenting today. Let me tell you a little bit about the judging process. So for the judges, I'm quickly going to show you some screens here that will mirror the form that you're going to be filling out on your computers. So you'll see at the first part of the form, it'll say pitch company, and it'll list the companies alphabetically. So Adapomics at the top, and then so on. You click the little radio button next to their name to select the company each time you fill in this form. And then you see a pitch notes box, which you can click on and fill in some information during the pitch. So startups, you're going to give roughly a 5-minute pitch during your breakout sessions. This will be the opportunity for the judges to record their notes while you're doing so. Judges, we will have the opportunity for you to look at your notes later as well. There's a feedback box where judges, you can fill in the information about the startups, information that you would like the startups to actually get in writing. So this is an anonymous form. You can type in whatever notes you want, some little highlights. It could be something like, really interested in what you're doing. You might consider also connecting with the VA because, they're synergistic in this, or have you thought about XYZ, or, this might be something that would strengthen your presentation. Maybe the business model was confusing, or the stat slide was little, the evidence wasn't as compelling, or you think it could be presented differently. Whatever you want to tell the startups, this will go to them, along with their scores. So you're going to rate the opportunity 1 week to 10 strong. And basically what we're looking for you to do here is give an overall opportunity score. So if you think this technology has a real shot at making an impact, and it has the right ingredients and the team and everything else, then I would rate that on the higher side. If the opportunity is one that you think really needs a lot more work, it's still pretty early, and frankly, not just quite ready, then you would rank that on the lower side. Most of the ones that we've selected today are going to be on the higher side because they've already been down selected from a large pool. Third is, were you aware of the company? So that means before this event, not just before we sent you your packet, but before this event. And then rating the innovation of the technology as being transformational, incremental, or Me Too is pretty self-explanatory. Incremental would be something above a Me Too technology, and then transformational would be something that really has the chance to move the needle. And then we have a series of other ratings questions that you could go through pretty quickly. They go from a scale of 1 week to 5 strong in 5 different areas: value to the patient, technical feasibility, strength of the team, healthcare economics, and likelihood of funding. We know that you may not be an expert in all these areas. If you're not, just rate something as a 3 for a neutral, and that will be just fine. What are some of the challenges, the success of the company? You can just fill in some brief highlights here. We're not looking for long paragraphs. We're looking for just highlights that we can actually be referring to later when we have our judge deliberation. Also on the compelling side, we want you to tell us some of the things that you find compelling about the technology. Again, highlights, brief things that we can look at together on the screen later. And then lastly, you'll see, would you be interested in having a follow-up mentor call with the company or feedback session with the company? So this isn't something where we're going to automatically send you an email. What we're looking for is, we're trying to help these companies. And if this is a company that you think that you would be interested in continuing to help in some way, it can just be a single phone call, whatever it might be, give us a yes in that box. And then we'll know that we have the ability to reach out to you later and say, okay, here's the companies that you said yes to. Here's we'd like you to have calls with these companies, or a couple of the companies, or whatever might be the opportunity. And then lastly, there's an additional comments box where you can write anything that you may have missed. And then there's a button that says submit. When you hit submit, it's going to upload the form to our server. At that time, you won't be able to edit the form anymore. If for some reason you didn't have enough time to fill in the information, you can check the little box that says save as draft and then hit submit. And what it does is it actually stores the form results that you've typed in so far in the corner of your browser, sort of in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. There'll be a number. You can click that number later on in the form, and it will expand and give you a list of the ones that you had filled in so far. So if you have several of those saved as not finished, you can open those back up, finish your form, and then submit them. So that's how the judging works. If you have any trouble, you can reach out to other people in your room. Many of them have judged for us before, and they could help you with that. You can also leave your breakout room if you need to, or during the in between the sessions, you can go back to Liz and ask her for some help, and she can help you with that. At any time, if you need to message someone and ask them for help, Liz would be the person to reach out to. So that's some of the orientation for the judging. It's really pretty simple. Don't feel too pressured by it. The intent is for us to capture some information we can use for the deliberation later, but it is not necessarily to just pick the winner from the information you enter on this form. So that's how that's going to work. And now I'm going to have a chance to switch roles here and have our startups give us some presentation. So as I mentioned, this is an event where we've grouped judges together based on their interests into breakout rooms, and they're going to generally stay in those breakout rooms for the whole time. The startups, however, will be moving from room to room during each of our breakouts. And because we don't have time for all of our judges to see all of the startups, we wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to see all the companies, at least in some amount, because we all have the opportunity to help. And that's one of the most important things here, is that whether you're a startup, you might want to help another startup, that you find that you have some synergy with, or you have an introduction you could make. So I'd like all of you to pay close attention, even if you're not presenting in the beginning and you're presenting at the end. Listen to all these pitches, because you might find a kindred spirit or somebody that you could help as well. Same thing for our judges and other experts. Please, listen to these presentations. Even if you don't have a chance to meet with one of these startups during the breakouts, maybe there's an opportunity for you to connect with them later. All of the contact information for all of these startups will be available with a link that we'll be sharing during the talk today. So with that, what I'm going to do is bring up each of our startups for a 1-minute pitch. You'll come up one by one. You just give your pitch for 1 minute. In the corner of the slide, you will see a little countdown clock. As soon as that starts going, you can start talking as soon as your slide comes up. When the countdown gets to red, so it'll go from green to yellow to red along with the time that it's counting down. When it gets to red, that really means that you need to be wrapping up. If it stops and says time's up, that's time to stop, so we can stay on track. So with that, I'm going to bring up Adapomics to give us their 1-minute pitch. So Evan. Evan, if you're there.
Forgive me. Sorry about that. This is actually, I'm actually Keith Ortholet. My apologies, Evan and Robert. So it's Evan Nadler, Dr. Evan Nadler and Dr. Robert Freestadt were the founders of Adapomics. I'm actually an advisor to them, a strategic advisor, and I am not a scientist. I am not a doctor. I'm a process person. I deal with more outsourcing and manufacturing around the world and software. Anyway, so what they've done is the situation right there in the world right now is that we're looking at opening up schools. We're bringing kids back to universities and do not have appropriate testing. What they've done is they're trying to provide good, reliable testing around COVID-2. Adapomics has focused on a whole viral particle detection. The evolution of these tests have gone through the RT-PCR phase, there's an antibody phase, and now the whole viral particle phase. That evolution has become more reliable. The whole particle detection phase is scalable. The detection was within 10 minutes. The false positives are incredibly low as along with the false negatives. It can be done without real training for personnel. It's instantaneous and is a color-based result, which makes it very, very easy. So no laboratory is required. That's the direction of this solution. And that's it.
All right. Thank you very much, Keith. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Next up, Bloom Standard. Bloom Standard.
Good morning. We're here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Good to see you again.
Great. Good to see you as well. So we were founded really about 10 years ago when my daughter Eve was born, and at 3 days old, she was in heart failure due to an undiagnosed congenital heart defect, but she really was able to survive 4 medical transports and 5 surgeries. And that's, how we got involved in this, understanding that really 95%